What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Call Her Creator, powered by Stan. I'm your host, Caitlin Rhodes, and today I have a longtime friend who's also an old colleague of mine. We both got to work at Curator together. Lauren, welcome to the podcast of Call Her Creator. You have been doing some big, huge things since we last talked.
I know. Thank you for having me.
Like, you guys don't understand. She's going to throw out some big names, and you're going to be like, oh, wow, Lauren knows them. So, Lauren, we're going to talk about social media, but you are really good off social media too. Like, kind of give them let's just go into it first off with what are you doing? How are you going to help us today? What are we going to be talking about?
Okay, so I am a direct response copywriter, otherwise known as a sales copywriter for mostly coaches, consultants, influencers, and it's for some very big names. So I used to work with Grant Cardone,
Woo!
and I've been working with Ryan Pineda for the last 2 years. And yeah, he is a business and real estate coach.
That's
So,
amazing.
yep. So today we are going to talk about like messaging, positioning, like what you should be like talking about. I am an expert in email marketing, email sequences, Facebook ad copy, landing page copy, offer creation, that sort of thing. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot to go over.
I love this. I love this. Okay, so I wrote some questions down for Lauren, although we might go off the cuff, but let's just kind of like get into it. So, what made you so at our old job, we worked at Curator, which was kind of like a tech company marketing for realtors specifically. Is that kind of how you got with Grant? Like were you like I still want to stay in the real estate space cuz he's kind of huge in the real estate space still, isn't he? Or he's expanded at this point.
No, it's so funny you say that because after Curator, I was like, I don't want to be in real estate anymore. I want to do something else. And then, like, both of the major jobs I had after that were in real estate, but they were more so on the education, like investing side. So it's so funny. I did do a brief stint in ecom, so I have a little bit of that background. But yeah, I never sought out to do that, but I always wanted to work for famous people. So I got to like do that, even though it was in real estate, I didn't care. At least these people were like gurus, you know?
How did you get connected to Grant? Like, I'm so sorry because I didn't even warn Lauren about asking her these questions, but I need to know, like, how did that even happen?
Yeah, it's so funny. Like people think like, oh, you have to know somebody to get in at these places, but actually, both of my jobs, Grant and Pineda, both of them were from LinkedIn, and I don't even have like a presence on LinkedIn or anything. Grant, I saw the job posted and I applied to it, and it was in Miami, and I was living in Orlando at the time, and so I thought to myself, like, wouldn't it be fun if? Wouldn't it be fun to get an interview? Wouldn't it be fun to move to Miami and work there? So I applied. I got an interview right away. And then they were like, how fast can you move to Miami? I was like, give me 30 days. I rented out my place and showed up in Miami 30 days later. And that's how I got that job. And then I got recruited, like headhunted to come to Pineda from there. So
Wow. Okay. Crazy. That's so crazy. So, like, what made you realize that email, ads, landing pages, like, how did you even get into doing all of that? I know. So, just to give our listeners a little bit of a background, we kind of did that stuff. We were kind of writing copy, but we also like were having to get copy from someone that was up above us, kind of put the copy together for us, and we were generally copy and pasting. So, like, did you know that you wanted to do something like that? Like, how did you get involved?
yeah, it was actually like, I guess like when the pandemic happened, 2020 was when I went further into direct response versus what you and I were in at Curator, which was more so like content marketing.
What is direct response? Because you keep saying that word, and some people might not know what that means. I don't even fully know what you're saying.
I know because it's totally different worlds. Like you are content creation minus direct response. Direct response is like content that is going to make people take in action, and it's typically like written content, it's ads, it's emails, clicking a button on a landing page. You want them to either opt in, sign up, buy the thing, book a call.
Is it, like, salesy? Like, it's definitely, like, you're sales driven. Well, I guess could it even be, like, for a lead for like, a lead magnet?
Yeah, I mean, a lead magnet, it's kind of a little bit of both in my opinion. Like, I don't know where it falls, but it's content. So it's like attraction content because typically a lead magnet is going to be for like a cold audience, right? Um, and I guess inside a lead magnet, you could have a call to action. And if they complete the call to action, then you could consider that direct response. But I would say direct response is like, ads and emails and that sort of thing.
Okay, love this. So for someone who's just starting to take their marketing seriously, why is mastering this written content, this direct response, like, why does that matter?
Like with social, like you're driving traffic, but it's like, where are you driving that traffic?
Yes.
So you have to have somewhere to send them, which is going to be like your offer. So you have to make sure your offer is good. You have to have a landing page on whatever tech platform, you know, have people opt in, that sort of thing. And then like emails. Because your question, the way you phrased it is like, if they're starting to take their marketing seriously, then if they're creating content and they're pushing out all this content, but then they're trying to go to the next step and they're like trying to make sales, then your next step is like creating like an email list and then like marketing to that email list, making sure your landing page is solid, all of that. So yeah, if you're starting out, like I would be making an email list and sending out emails.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Which you kind of talked about, like, so social media, people get on there and you don't really know where it goes. So I would say that a lot of people hop on social media in the first place to get discovered. Okay. So can you explain the difference between attracting people, so the attraction content, versus actually converting them, the conversion content? Because people need to know they're those are two different things.
Yeah, so like everything, I feel like everything on social media now is like top of funnel for the most part because a very small amount of your followers do actually see your content and those people are like your raving fans, so like they will come in and out and see it. But pretty much everything is top of funnel and you're pushing it out to the masses. So I like to use the example of dating coaches because I follow a ton of dating coaches because I am dating, I am trying to find a partner. Um, so the dating coaches, they put out like very like just top of funnel content, like teaching like micro like things, like just bite-sized pieces of information that you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's a great technique. But for the most part, they're not like, I mean, sometimes there's a call to action at the end to buy a course or something like that. But especially for them to go viral and to do very well, they typically don't. And that's okay. Like you don't have to have a call to action to everything. You want to get known, and that's kind of like the key there. But for like conversion content, and to me that kind of like means two things. Like if you're doing content like on social, like what you do, versus like emails or whatever, then emails would have just like a stronger call to action, so you can provide some value, but you want somebody to take an action because that's what direct response is all about. And then at the end of like your reel or whatever, or in the caption, like you direct people to go somewhere else. So if you're directing them to go somewhere else for more, then that's more like conversion content. And you don't need to do that all the time. Like I would say, like a lot of top of funnel, focus on like entertaining, educating. I mean, that's a lot of what you do. A lot of what you do is entertaining, and like marketing is very niche, but you've been able to grow an audience by being funny and giving bite-sized information. But then like you've got your things that are more serious and you're pushing people to book a call with your studio and, go further with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in fact, this is a really good topic that we're talking about because I get a lot of clients that are like, I don't know what I should post. And I'm like, okay, well, are you trying to grow right now or are you trying to launch a product or like make money? Because top of the funnel is going to be more growth focused. And if you're trying to launch something, we're going to be a little more salesy. So, exactly what Lauren's saying, like, For growth, you're looking at that top of the funnel type content, which some people listening here, Lauren, might not even know what a funnel is. Could you briefly act like I'm an alien on earth? What's a marketing funnel even look like?
Okay, so we know that there's two ways to define a funnel. One is like a literal funnel, so like a sales page, a page that you land on from an ad, cold traffic, people that don't know you, and they read your sales page, which is also called a funnel. And that term is kind of coined by like Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels, all of that. So people call sales pages funnels. Um, but then also, what I think you and I are talking about here in that context is top of funnel, top, middle, bottom. And so we actually learned this like years ago. Like Chris and Jimmy, they were way ahead of their time talking about the different audiences that you serve at each point in the customer journey. So we, for our clients in real estate, would put out like just very like fluffy content, like how to move with your pet and like just like best Christmas lights in Georgia or whatever. You remember we did all that. So that
Yes.
was like attraction, like people that didn't know who that agent was and saw that content. And it's like very friendly, very unassuming, like you're not trying to make a sale. And then like your middle is like your DIY projects, like how to increase your home's value, like people that are curious, about buying and selling. And then if we're going with the real estate example, the bottom of funnel, we did quite a few campaigns that were like get your home's value, like basically like book a call type of vibes. Those people went all the way down the funnel. And the idea is that they convert at the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. And that's what we kind of do here with the social media agency at Influence Marketing Studio. We're always like, we kind of make content in a 30-day calendar. And so, like, we'll do like that fluffy content at the top where you're just kind of like, they don't know who you are. So you just need to be relatable or educate them or something. But then as you move further through that month, you're giving them real life tips that they can use. And then towards the end, you're like, hey, schedule a call with me. I see you be looking at everything I'm posting. I know you're starting to trust me now. Now let me help you do this thing. So that's kind of what that is.
Yep.
Let's see. Let's see. Okay. For someone who's overwhelmed by content creation, this is question number 5 for you. What's one type of content that they should focus on first? Social media posts, emails, landing pages? Like, where should they start?
Yeah. So I think the simple answer there is like if you have nothing, like if you have no business, no infrastructure, I would say then just get out there and start posting. So you want to get known, want to get discovered, because people can build a following without selling anything, and then you can start selling things once you get traction in your industry. But like you don't really go like the opposite like way.
You're not going to grow your account by showing up on day one and being like, hey, I'm selling this. Do you want to buy it from me? Like, no, they need to know who you are. You need to warm them up.
Yeah. But let's say you do have a business, and we worked with a lot of entrepreneurs here at Pineda that had big businesses and were making a lot of money, but they did not show up on camera. And those people had a desire to do so. And if you do, then that's great. Get out there and do it. But if you have a business that's already making money, I would say like put time and effort and money into email because email still converts at like such a high rate. They still say like 80% of revenue comes from emails. Like people think it's like a dinosaur, but I think just in
No,
general, even with like AI and stuff, I still think email is like the best way to like stay in contact with people.
1000%. We do a newsletter every Tuesday, and then I'll do a podcast newsletter type every Thursday. But if I'm like, okay, I need to sell some of my digital products, I am out there on email because they know me. I don't really have to like prove myself. It's more so like, hey, here's what I did, and here's what you're struggling with. Take this and trust me.
Right. Exactly.
I love that. What's a mistake that you see business owners make when they try to create content for conversions only?
Yeah. So I think that the biggest mistake would be like putting pressure on one piece of content to like be the conversion piece of content, because
Yes.
like at the end of the day, like if you are consistent putting out content, you could get a conversion on one email or one video or something, but you don't really know like in the lead up to that, like it compounds, right? Like people
Yes.
see multiple videos, multiple emails. I mean, I send emails all the time for Ryan, like book a call, and some don't do well and some do really well. And it has to do with the nature of the email for sure. But also just like receiving enough emails and being like something triggered them and was like, oh, okay, I'm ready now. So I would like, don't get discouraged if like your conversion content isn't converting, because it's like, it's so much more than that. It's like the lead up to it. And then you have to like have a balance. Like you have to always be providing value. You have to entertain, you know.
The compound effect you said is just so true. Like, I've been pouring myself into everything since 2021 when I left Curator and I was freelancing. I'm like, okay. So I started posting on Instagram and then I was growing my email list and then I was posting on Facebook. We just started posting on YouTube and then I've got my podcast. So I've got all these different things. And I told my husband, I'm like, either one of these are going to stick or, there's going to be a compound effect. They're seeing me there, they're hearing me here, they're seeing me there. And it really kind of came full circle for us this week. I was at the gas station yesterday and I had a call from someone who saw one of our ads in the local magazine, which was print marketing, which I don't even really, I just started doing print marketing and I was like, oh my God, thank you so much for seeing my print marketing. And then got in my car and I got an email and it was someone that said, hey, I just listened to your podcast. I want to have a call with you. So I'm like, oh my God, full circle moment. It's all compounding. Someone's seeing me here, and it just felt so good. And so I agree with you. Like, there's no need to put all your eggs in one basket. Like, get good at all these different things: email, landing pages, Facebook, Instagram, social media. Like, they all start to work together.
You don't have to do it all on your own. You can outsource it. So you can
Yes.
work with somebody like Caitlin, or you can work with somebody like me. So if email is not your forte and you just want to focus on videos and you have the budget to do so, then always outsource.
Yes, 1000%. Don't work in your business, work on your business. That leads me to, so let's say, let's talk about email for a minute. If someone were to show up to you, Lauren, and they have zero email strategy right now, like where would you tell them to start?
So, if they don't have an email strategy at all, and like they have a list, but they're kind of scared because sometimes people are really scared to like email their list and they don't want to bother their list and they're scared to like really promote themselves and like ask for the call, ask for the sale. I would, just for that reason, and also because email systems need to be warmed up. We know that. So I would send to, if you're like a coach or something, or maybe you are a realtor, like if you have past clients, if you have like a list of like friendly people that know you, like you, that sort of thing, I would start by, sending them, like you just mentioned, that you send out a newsletter. You could do a newsletter. You could send out your recent podcast episodes if you have a podcast or you were featured on one. And if you don't have that kind of content, you can just send out things that you are loving right now. Like if you're in marketing, you can send out new AI tools that you're testing.
Love that.
Just anything that is going to provide value to the other person without like an agenda at first. So
Yes.
have them be like, oh, okay, this person like is sending me good information. They're gonna be opening the emails, and then further down the line, you can start more of like the salesy emails, book a call, purchase something in the cart, like low ticket. Attend a webinar, and I also think that's another like friendly way to get them back in through email, is like inviting them to some type of webinar if you have one.
That's even a good way too, guys, if you're listening and you're like, well, I don't even have an email list. One of the agency books I read about building your seven-figure agency, he says that the way he built his email list was by providing free webinars every month. He would like promote them on Facebook and push people to a landing page and get them to sign up. And that's how he built his list. And now he does like a free webinar every month to keep on building that list. What are some ways, this was not predetermined question either, Lauren, but what are some ways for people that don't have any email subscribers? What are the best ways to start building that list?
Yeah, and like I'm gonna be doing that for myself here pretty soon. Um, so yeah, I mean, you can do like a lead magnet or like a free like mini course or something like that.
Stand Store actually has a free lead magnet. Like you literally just pop in your lead magnet and it collects the emails for you and it's super easy to use. So check that out.
I think Stan, something like that would be really easy to use. So shout out to Stan if anybody needs easy CRM, lead magnet, all that. Get you a Stan store. But yeah, so I would do something like that to have like link in bio. Not too much pressure. I think even I'm guilty of this. People get stressed out about the course has to be perfect. The PDF isn't enough, like something like that. But I just think whatever knowledge you have, package it, even if it's like a little bit janky. With AI now, there's like really no excuse. And I have to tell myself that too. No excuse. You can have it just quickly, bare bones designed. You can film something on Loom and you can put just Loom videos up. Like, it doesn't matter. And then, of course, you want to like start creating content. And I think people are guilty of this. They either have one side of the puzzle or they have the other. Like they can make the lead magnet, but they're scared to make content, or they can make content, but they don't know how to make the lead magnet or build the list. The tech scares them because the tech scares me. And I am an email marketer. Like the tech is not fun, guys, unless you're a very analytical person. Um, so yeah, you do have to sadly master both because it's like build it and they will come, but like they won't come. Like you can build it and like you need a traffic source, whether that's paid ads, whether that's content, like what Caitlin teaches. Yeah, you need to make content and then drive traffic, have your call to action at the end, link in bio, or there's like many chat with the automation, like drop the word XYZ below and I'll send you this. So that's a great way to grow your email list. And of course, you can have somebody else set that up for you. You don't have to set it up yourself if it's scary.
1000%. And another shout out to Stand too. They actually just came out with DM automation. So when you get your Stand Store, you're not only paying for a Stand Store, which will host everything for you, collect lead magnets, but you can do DM automation without paying an extra subscription for ManyChat. I love both, but I wanted to put that out there. And I love how you said build it and they won't come, because we're all used to the build it and they will come, but that's just not how it is these days. Like you have to show up and market and do all the things. So let's say with us kind of talking about build it and they won't come, let's say that you are ready to start being salesy, okay? You've got your email going, you've sent a few fluffy emails, provided value, you've got some readers, your open rates are great. Now it's time for you to create an email that invites someone to book a call. What's your structure for that? What's your go-to, like how do you get someone to actually respond to a book a call email?
Yeah, so I actually do have like quite a signature process for this. I feel like a lot of things people are like, "How do you do this? What's your process?" And I genuinely don't know. Like it's just a gift. I don't know. But lately, I've been using AI for a long time. The whole 2 years I worked for Ryan, he really encouraged me to lean into it, and that was such a gift because now I'm like an expert in like prompting and getting the results I want.
Ooh.
So, if you're looking for like the lowest hanging fruit and like how to kind of craft those emails, I will say I think this like we might be talking about this later, but like my process is like 6 to 8 lines, no text, like no images, nothing like that. Very simple, and it is twofold. It is value driven, but it has a strong call to action. And so to circle back to the AI, if you have a podcast, you are on a podcast, something like that, you can get a plugin called Clarity, and it will give you the transcript of the YouTube podcast. And then you can put that in AI and you can tell it to pull out like the themes that would be good for an email and tell it to pull out as many as it can. And then you can kind of choose from them which ones you want to lean into. and you have to think about like, the pain points that people are experiencing, what they desire, so you can like kind of, do that, or current events, or you can jack other people's podcasts. Like you could put like an Alex Hermosi podcast in there, have it give you different like themes, and then you can write them as if you were speaking those, if you were telling the story about, whatever. So that has worked really well for me to like do the transcript for Ryan's podcasts and then write emails based off the different themes that he goes over, and throw in little personal stories and whatnot. So I would highly recommend that. Basically, you just talk about how people don't want to do XYZ, or how like people think it's hard, or say there's something in the media happening and you can like newsjack it, and then in the end it's like if you're ready to finally do the thing, then book a call.
I love that, and that is so true. Like, this is a really good tidbit that Lauren just shared. When I send out my newsletter emails, they definitely have sections, they have photos, there's a lot in them. When I'm like, "Okay, it's time to sell my Reels challenge," it is no pictures are in there, it's text, it's a few links. You know what I've even heard too, Lauren, and I want your advice on this? I'm learning that when you put like dollar signs or you use the word sale or stuff like that in subject lines, can that hurt your open rate? Like, or even not even your open rate, but maybe will Google put you in spam? Like, do you know anything about that?
They say that it does. They've been saying that for years and years and years, ever since we were working at Curator.
Okay.
I think there has to be some truth to it. So I would err on the side of caution and say, yes, it does matter. I think sometimes you can get away with it. I wouldn't use them repeatedly over and over again. Um, People even say that emojis can ding you, and I don't know if that's true or not. But I would use emojis sparingly. Like I don't use them very often in Ryan's emails, here and there. But yeah, I would just be careful with words like free.
Yeah, what are some hot words to avoid?
Yeah, free is a big one. The word money,
Wow.
and even some variations of it. Sometimes I use cash, but even that is like a lot. Or you could just be like, you could call it something else to get around it, like dough or something, but, like, I know
Wow.
that's lame, but, I would not say the word money. I would not use the dollar sign because that definitely comes off as spam.
I thought emojis helped.
I think, like, I don't know. I do not have a definitive answer on this, but I have heard that emojis can come off as spammy. So I would use them, but I would use them, like, sparingly.
Really?
And your emails hit my general inbox, so I think you're okay.
Okay. That's really good golden nuggets, Lauren.
Yeah, and then, there is, like, a footer thing that you just, like, I don't know, we had it at Cardone. It was basically like a really fluffy footer with, like, keywords in it, and you could go and you could steal his or somebody else's that is, like, a major influencer that has the footer, put it in ChatGPT, and tell it that you want it to be for your business and what you do, and then just put that footer in like very small, like gray font at the bottom of your emails, and just every single one. Try it because it does work. People have paid a lot of money for those footers to be like custom made, but I'm pretty sure you can just reverse engineer the ones that already exist, and then that will keep you from spam and like promo and help you try to hit the main inbox.
Wow. That's how did you learn that trick?
Well, we were dealing with that at Cardone. So they have a footer, and then I had one made for Ryan. We just used ChatGPT. So that
That's awesome.
worked. So I would recommend that. I don't think that the average person needs to do that if they don't have a large database. But if somebody is happening to listen and they are a guru and a coach and they have hundreds of thousands of people in their database, that is a good thing to do and at least try it out. And marketing changes. This was in 2022. I don't know if this is still like the best practice, but it definitely helped us at the time. So I would recommend trying it.
That's almost like putting, keywords, like, in your captions and stuff. Sometimes it just helps these weird algorithms, so that is wild. Wow.
Like anti-spam.
Wow, okay, anti-spam tip, that's awesome. Okay, let's move on to landing pages because I think a lot of people struggle with writing landing pages. So, let's start off first. What's the biggest mistake people do when they're creating a landing page to make sales?
Yeah, so I think people overcomplicate like what they're selling. Like sometimes I read landing pages and I'm like, what are you selling? Like I just genuinely don't understand. Um, that even happened a couple months ago in the Women Helping Women Entrepreneur Facebook group, which I think you're in.
Wow.
So a girl was selling some type of manifestation workshop or something, and like I can't even remember the full thing, but I she was like, "Can anybody help me? This isn't converting." And I looked at the landing page and I was like, "Girl, what the hell?" So I, I gave her like serious bullet points like in the Facebook group, and I was super nice and I didn't want to hurt her feelings or anything. So I was like, "Okay, this is good," but like I would make the headline this and the sub headline this, and I would like fix your messaging a little bit and talk more about the pain point and then like what you're actually selling because spiritual stuff can get like real woo woo hippy dippy and like at the end of the day you don't know what you're selling. So it was important to have outside eyes, my eyes as an expert, to be able to see like I think you just get stuck in the forest, like you can't see the trees, whatever that term is.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea whether you're asking an expert or just a friend who may not be as familiar with your product or service to like read your landing page and be like, hey, does this make sense? Like, would this entice you? So yeah, I think like I think you need to have like outside eyes on
I
it
love
basically and just get your message clear.
That's a good idea because too, a lot of people start talking that industry jargon too, and you're like, what are you even talking about? You know what I mean? We have to dumb it down.
Yeah, we're guilty of that in marketing
Yeah.
for sure because we think that everybody understands and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so like, elementary." And people are like, "Lauren, no it's not."
Yeah. Yeah. Let's say, okay, so like you talk about three different elements that make up a landing page. There's your pain point, your desire, and then handling objections. Can you kind of walk us through how to write each one of those effectively?
Yeah. So, I mean, everybody is motivated by different things, right? Pain, pleasure, whatever it is. And even thinking like, biz op, for an example, like if you have like a business opportunity, like people want to make more money. They want like maybe free time. They want freedom. Some, like you as an entrepreneur, you wanted free time. Um, there's a lot of different things that are going to motivate people. So you have to kind of come up with the common ones and then like work through those. So yeah.
How do we find these pain points? Like, so I always tell people, I always talk about buyers' personas. And how when you have a business, you should be coming up with like three different buyers' personas. And what that means is like you have an audience, but let's pretend you have like three people that you really want to sell to, right? So like we'll just pretend for me, I'm a social media manager that owns an agency. So my first avatar might be, a busy owner who doesn't have the time to do it themselves. You can get super nitty-gritty with it. Like, you can say, like, their gender, their age, what business they're in. But we'll just say for this time, that avatar is just he's a business owner and he doesn't have time for it. My next avatar might be a business owner who what would be another one? They don't have time. I should know this. I should know who my buyers personas are. They don't have time, maybe they don't have the team to do it. Um, maybe they're making all this money, but they're freaking burnout, so they're ready to just offboard it.
Or they're just overwhelmed with the tech and they don't know how to make pictures and videos
Yeah,
and
maybe they
stuff.
just don't know how to do it. So, like, they're in every business owner has a different buyer's persona, right? Like, even like Target has a ton of buyers personas. They've got stay-at-home moms or they've got like the busy college kid. You have to really sit down and nail down who your target audience is. And I think once you nail that down, you can write really good emails and landing pages because you know exactly who you're talking to. I always tell people if you talk to everyone, you end up talking to no one, right?
Yep. And that's why like you get a lot of at bats here, whether you're posting on social or you are sending out emails, because it is a different person reading it every time. So like even for Ryan, it's like you've got the young like Gen Z boy, you've got the millennial boy, you've even got like older women that invest in like his real estate coaching.
Wow.
So it just depends. And for those book a call emails, I really rotate like that buyer persona because you just don't know who's going to resonate with what.
Yes.
So the other day I sent one about Ryan had a reel and it was talking about how like most guys or people like rely on like getting like lucky instead of actually putting in the work. So he talked about sports betting and this like gambling, sports betting, just like luck. And then like I turned that into an email being like, like I put sports betting, like if you're just like waiting for the Cowboys to hit, like, whatever, like that's not a strategy. And if you want to actually like put in the work and make the amount of money like per transaction that you would win in a massive sports bet, like I can teach you how to do that. And that email like booked a lot of calls, and I'm sure they were males because they probably resonated with sports betting. So you just have to think about like what someone's going to resonate with.
That's really good. And that kind of goes into like when we're identifying like different gaps in our marketing, right? So a lot of people might miss the mark because they're not focused on who that buyer's persona is. Instead, they're just writing for themselves. But this is a really great example, Lauren, where you wrote that email based off of who you think like would be interested in sports betting and stuff like that. So that's probably why a lot of businesses miss the mark when they're marketing to their leads because they're talking about themselves too much.
Yeah, like of course I sprinkle in Ryan's personal like failures and triumphs and stuff to get people to like believe they can do it. And I do use like testimonials and like stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I feel like when I relate it to something that's like pop culture, something that they do, something like that, it pops off and it resonates. So yeah, it's like it's not about like Ryan doing XYZ. It's like, oh, if you're doing this right now, you could be doing this. And they're like, oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. What about say so let's go back to a minute where we were talking about landing pages and stuff like that. And talking to our person, like our buyer's persona. Let's say that we're driving a lot of traffic to our website or we're driving a lot of traffic to a landing page, but we're just not seeing conversions. Like where should we start for our troubleshooting? How do we figure out what's wrong?
Just at first glance, it's going to be your headline and your subheadline because that's the first thing that people see. And most people are on mobile, so they will see the headline and the subheadline and then maybe like a button, but they don't really see the rest of the copy. So you have to make sure that the beginning is enticing enough where it tells you like problem, solution, like whatever, it is. Like if it's a webinar, you usually in the subheadline will have like the date and then like the name of it. Or if it's like some other type of standard landing page for a different offer, then you can get like way more juicy with it
Yeah.
and kind of like hook them because essentially that's the equivalent of like a hook.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you use ChatGPT to help with those subheadings and landing pages?
Oh yeah, I have ChatGPT write entire landing pages, but I don't think I'm the average person for that. Like I think people would get pretty bad output if they did that.
Yeah.
But like I had put like a long form landing page that Russell Brunson had, and I put it in, and then I like reverse engineered it, and I was like, make me a template of this, like of all the things, and then like I would use that template to like have it do the landing page similar to his and like the format that it was in. So you can definitely do that. And you can take like old landing pages, or you can take like a competitor's landing page and you can put it in ChatGPT and kind of have it like rework it. So
I've done that before. I've used like bigger people out there and said, "Hey, rewrite me something like this, but with my product." And it works pretty good, but I agree with you. You have to give ChatGPT really good context if you want good output, and so it takes time to learn it for sure. All
mhm.
right. Last bit that I want to talk about, and that's turning your cold leads into raving fans. So, you've mentioned before that handling objections is key to warming up these cold leads, right? So, what's your favorite way to address these objections in your written content? So, like, someone's on your landing page, they're liking what they hear, but oh, they might have an objection come up. How do you fit that? How do you fix that before, like, how do you save them?
Yeah. So when I'm thinking about this from like a coaching, like guru info product perspective, which is the one that I'm in, I would say like you have to show them basically like what you've been able to overcome. And so that is usually pretty important, and you definitely want to do that. And then also like showcasing what others people have done, like your students and whatnot, because I think it's important to share what how you overcame it, because that's part of like the hero's journey, right? Like with what Russell Brunson teaches, where you like had a problem, you know, you found a guide or you taught yourself, and then you are now teaching others. So it's important to note, but sometimes I do think people think it's so unattainable. So they almost don't believe that. So even with Ryan, sometimes we struggle, like, because Ryan is like so above that, like, people can't really see themselves stepping into those shoes. So I often will even say, like, you know, Ryan is like an 8-figure earner, but like you can't think about making 8 figures, 7 figures until you make 6 figures. So
Yes.
I often spin it as like, you know, you could make 6 figures, like multi 6 figures doing this. And then people are like, I could see that. And then like our students who make like over 100K, multi 6 figures, like when we showcase them, we get better results, because you know people can see themselves climbing the ladder to that rung, but they can't see themselves going all the way to the
That's
top.
so funny you said that. I listened to Lori Harder a lot, her podcast, Earn Your Happy. I love her. But she was just talking about when she has people in masterminds, there's sometimes a disconnect because those people in the masterminds will look at the person on stage and be like, well, that's unattainable. I'm not going to attain that. So her
Mhm.
and her husband, Chris, tell people to look at people 1 degree or 2 degrees above them or something like that, something that's more attainable. And I really love that. And now, like, you're the second person or the second time this week that I've heard that. So I need to start thinking about that when I'm telling my own offers. Maybe there's a disconnect. This is me just thinking out loud, but maybe there's a disconnect with some people are like, oh, well, I can't achieve that because I'm not even here yet. So maybe we need to like break it down a little bit, slow it down and show things. That's another reason why social proof is so important. And like when I am making these landing pages or sending these emails, I try so hard to show social proof of like my DMs. Like I just had a private coaching call for 8 weeks with this realtor who launched her first product. And it's not like she's selling these huge ticket items, but they're like $179 and she's been selling them and this is her first time selling. So I'm using her as an example for people because they again, they don't think that that's attainable. So I love what you're saying. Like the social proof is so important for you to sell. If someone was listening today and they could only take one action item away from what we've been talking about, like how would you tell them to improve their messaging? What would you recommend for them?
Yeah. So I would say just to deeply understand your customer avatar, like their wants and their struggles. Um, you can use AI and Google for doing this. That's what Andy Elliott talked about on stage at Funnel Hacking, was talking about how he got big on YouTube by just Googling like industry related questions and then looking at all the other questions that people were asking in that industry and then making videos answering those questions, which I think is going to be my strategy as I am going to start my YouTube channel, is to just start answering questions that people ask about marketing. So that's a really easy way to get started. So yeah, just answer the questions that people want to know.
That's really good. And there's answer the public, guys, if you're trying to think of questions that people are
Mhm.
asking and you don't know, if you don't know what they're thinking or what they want to know, go to answer the public. There's really great stuff there. And then as Lauren said, you can actually type a question in Google and whatever's kind of showing up underneath that, take those and answer those in little short form videos or emails or landing pages, whatever, however you share content. That's a really good tip there. Let's talk about mindset shift. What is something what's a mindset shift that business owners need to make when they're transitioning from content for attention to content for sales?
Yeah, so I think attention content is like so broad, and it's going to be like shocking, educational. It's going to be for the masses. So when you're making content, think about it's for the masses. It's for virtually everybody, depending on what you're selling. And then, for sales content, it's going to be like talking about deeper problems that these people have and just like a lot more serious. And then that's how you can like make your solution known, is by doing that. And yeah, it's like, I keep using like the dating coach analogy because I'm like knee deep in dating coach content. But like, yeah, I can kind of tell when they are doing content that's broad for the masses and then like content for their followers to, book a call for private coaching, to, join their group program. You know, yeah, they have like their calls to action about joining like their like programs and stuff, like, find your soulmate and stuff like
Yes,
that. So
yes, very call to action type content. Awesome. This was so good, Lauren. How can listeners connect with you if they want to reach you after this? Because you're amazing and you have so much goodness to share with us.
yes. So my Instagram is just my name, Lauren McCleary, which I'm sure my name will be in the show notes. And then I am going to start a YouTube channel, so I think I will just have it be my name as well. So this podcast is evergreen, I think. So people will find it anytime down the road. So hopefully, I am taking my own advice and I am creating content, because I am like a secret hidden gem right now, but
Yes.
I'm wanting to be out in the open and sharing more insights. So hopefully, I have everything set up by the time you follow me there.
You just need to start posting more, Lauren, because you're amazing.
I
You have so much
know.
goodness and you've worked with so many incredible people. Like you know things that we don't know. So yes, I will link Lauren's Instagram in the show notes for us. And when she gets her YouTube channel, I'll link that for us too once she gets that up and go.
I got to do it now.
Yes, got to do it now. But thank you guys so much for listening today. I hope you loved today's podcast episode. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM on Call Her Creator or the Caitlin Rhodes. But for today, we are out. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.